Promulgation of Universal Peace by Abdul Baha Abbas. The realities of things have been revealed in this radiant century, and that which is true must come to the surface. Among these realities is the principle of the equality of man and woman, equal rights and prerogatives in all things appertaining to humanity. Well, this attempt to be absolutely same will prevent equal rights in reality. Baha'u'llah declared this reality over 50 years ago. But while this principle of equality is true, it is likewise true that woman must prove her capacity and aptitude, must show forth the evidences of equality. She must become proficient in the arts and sciences and prove by her accomplishments that her abilities and powers have merely been latent. Well, women always had powers. They're still not quite so appreciated because if it's just about making the most money or accomplishing the most athletically, of course the curve is going to go towards the men. But if humanity, then it evens out. Demonstrations of force, just as now are taking place in England, are neither becoming nor effective in the cause of womanhood and equality. Women must be especially devote with their energies and abilities towards the industrial and agricultural sciences, seeking to assist mankind in that which is most needful. By this means, she will demonstrate capability and ensure recognition of equality in the social and economic equation. Undoubtedly, God will confirm her in her efforts and endeavors, for in this century of radiance, Baha'u'llah has proclaimed the reality of the oneness of the world of humanity and announced that all nations, peoples, and races are one. He has shown that although individuals may differ in development and capacity, they are essentially and intrinsically equal as human beings, just as the waves of the sea are innumerable and different. But the reality of the sea is one. The plurality of humanity may be likened to the waves, but the reality of humankind is like the sea itself. All the waves are of the same water. All are waves of one ocean. Therefore strive to show in the human world that women are most capable and efficient, that their hearts are more tender and susceptible than the hearts of men, that they are more philanthropic and responsive toward the needy and suffering, that they are inflexibly opposed to war and are lovers of peace. Strive that the ideal of international peace may become realized through the efforts of womankind, for man is more inclined to war than woman, and a real evidence of women's superiority will be her service and efficiency in the establishment of universal peace. And before we get into what was said on the 27th of August, 1912, the talk at the Metaphysical Club in Boston, Massachusetts, the notes by Edna McKenney. The past century has, after this, has really proved the women's suffrage thing. It was a good thing, but women's suffrage didn't do anything to stop the war efforts. It actually there's been an increase since then. So, but either sex at any generation could prove, oh, this group tends to be better, this group tends to be better, Upon the faces of those present, I behold the expression of thoughtfulness and wisdom. Therefore I shall discourse upon a subject involving one of the divine questions, a question of religious and metaphysical importance, namely, the progressive and perpetual motion of elemental atoms throughout the various degrees of phenomena and the kingdoms of existence. It will be demonstrated and become evident that the origin and outcome of phenomena are identical, and that there is an essential oneness in all existing things. This is a subtle principle appertaining to divine philosophy and requiring close analysis and attention. The elemental atoms, which constitute all phenomenal existence and being in this illimitable universe, are in perpetual motion, undergoing continuous degrees of progression. For instance, let us conceive of an atom in the mineral kingdom progressing upward to the kingdom of the vegetable by entering into the composition and fiber of a tree or plant. From thence it is assimilated and transferred into the kingdom of the animal, and finally, by the law and progress of composition, becomes a part of the body of man. That is to say, it has traversed the intermediate degrees and stations of phenomenal existence, entering into the composition of various organisms in its journey. This motion or transference is progressive and perpetual, for after disintegration of the human body into which it has entered, it returns to the mineral kingdom whence it came, and will continue to traverse the kingdoms of phenomena as before. This is an illustration designed to show that the constituent elemental atoms of phenomena undergo progressive transference and motion throughout the material kingdoms. In its ceaseless progression and journeyings, the atom becomes imbued with the virtues and powers of each degree or kingdom it traverses. In the degree of the mineral, it possesses mineral affinities. In the degree of the vegetable, it manifested the augmentative virtue or power of growth. In the animal organism, it reflected the intelligence of that degree. And in the kingdom of man, it was qualified with human attributes or virtues. Furthermore, the forms and organisms of phenomenal being and existence in each of the kingdoms of the universe are myriad and numberless. The vegetable plane or kingdom, for instance, has its infinite variety of types and material structures of plant life, each distinct and different within itself. No two exactly alike in composition and detail. For there are no repetitions in nature, and the augmented virtue cannot be confined to any given image or shape. Each leaf has its own particular entity, so to speak, its own individuality as a leaf. Therefore, each atom of the innumerable elemental atoms, during its ceaseless motion through the kingdoms of existence as a constituent of organic composition, not only becomes imbued with powers and virtues of the kingdoms it traverses, but also reflects the attributes and qualities of the forms and organisms of those kingdoms. As each of these forms has its individual and particular virtue, therefore each elemental atom of the universe has the opportunity of expressing an infinite variety of those individual virtues. No atom is bereft or deprived of this opportunity or right of expression, nor can it be said of any given atom that it is denied equal opportunities with other atoms. Nay, all are privileged to possess the virtues existent in these kingdoms, and to reflect the attributes of their organisms. In the various transformations or passages from kingdom to kingdom, the virtues expressed by the atoms in each degree are peculiar to that degree. For example, in the world of the mineral, the atom does not express the vegetable form and organism, and when through the process of transmutation it assumes the virtues of the vegetable degree, it does not reflect the attributes of animal organisms, and so on. It is evident then that each elemental atom of the universe is possessed of a capacity to express all the virtues of the universe. This is a subtle and abstract realization. Meditate upon it, for within it lies the true explanation of pantheism. See, everything that's not true is a metaphorical truth. From this point of view and perception, pantheism is a truth. For every atom in the universe possesses or reflects all the virtues of life, the manifestations of which is reflected through change and transformation. Therefore, the origin and outcome of phenomena is verily the omnipresent God, for the reality of all phenomenal existence is through him. By him, I'm not saying male. It's the gender-neutral masculine. There is neither reality nor the manifestation of reality without the instrumentality of God. Existence is realized and possible through the bounty of God, just as the ray or flame emanating from this lamp is realized through the bounty of the lamp, from which it originates. Even so, all phenomena are realized through the divine bounty, and the explanation of true pantheistic statement and principle is that the phenomena of the universe find realization through the one power animating and dominating all things. And all things are but manifestations of its energy and bounty. The virtue of being and existence is through no other agency. Therefore, in the words of Baha'u'llah, the first teaching is the oneness of the world of humanity. When the man who is spiritually sagacious and possessed of insight views the world of humanity, he will observe that the lights of divine bounty are flooding all mankind, just as the lights of the sun shed their splendor upon all existing upon all existing things. All phenomena of the material existence are revealed through the ray emanating from the sun. Without light, nothing would be visible. Similarly, all phenomena in the inner world of reality receive the bounties of God from the source of divine bestowal. This human plane, or kingdom, is one creation, and all souls are the signs and traces of the divine bounty. In this plane there are no exceptions. All have been recipients of their bestowals through the heavenly bounty. Can you find a soul bereft of the nearness of God? Can you find one whom God has deprived of its daily sustenance? This is impossible. God is kind and loving to all, and all are manifestations of the divine bounty. And this is the oneness of the world of humanity. Some souls are weak. We must endeavor to strengthen them. Some are ignorant, uninformed of the bounties of God. We must strive to make them knowing. Some are ailing. We must seek to restore them to health. Some are immature as children. They must be trained and assisted to attain maturity. We nurse the sick in tenderness and the kindly spirit of love. We do not despise them because they are ill. Therefore, we must exercise extreme patience, sympathy, and love toward all mankind, considering no soul as rejected. If we look upon a soul as rejected, we have disobeyed the teachings of God. God is loving to all. Shall we be unjust or unkind to anyone? Is this allowable in the sight of God? God provides for all. It is befitting for us to prevent the flow of his merciful provisions for mankind. God has created all in his image and likeness. Shall we manifest hatred for his creatures and servants? This would be contrary to the will of God and according to the will of Satan, by which we mean the natural inclinations of the lower nature. The lower nature in man is symbolized as Satan, the evil ego within us, not an evil personality outside. In Islam, for example, people are supposed to maintain and uphold nature. This God of this world and age, being the enemy, is the Christian idea. And the Baha'i seem to have picked that up to a degree. In Islam, the idea is evil people have gone lower than their nature. But they can't blame things on the temptations. They've chosen to act out whatever they're going to do. Baha'u'llah teaches that the foundations of the divine religion are one reality which does not admit of multiplicity or division. Therefore, the commandments and teachings of God are one. The religious differences and divisions which exist in the world are due to blind imitations of forms without knowledge or investigations of the fundamental divine reality which underlies all the religions. Inasmuch as these imitations of ancestral forms are various, dissensions have arisen among the people of religion. Therefore, it is necessary to free mankind from this subjection to blind belief by pointing the way of guidance to reality itself, which is the only basis of unity. Baha'u'llah says that religion must be conducive to love and unity. If it proves to be the source of hatred and enmity, its absence is preferable. For the will and law of God is love, and love is the bond between human hearts. Religion is the light of the world. If it is made the cause of darkness through human misunderstanding and ignorance, it would be better to do without it. Religion must conform to science and reason. Otherwise, it is superstition. God has created man in order that he may perceive the verity of existence and endowed him with mind or reason to discover truth. Therefore, scientific knowledge and religious belief must be conformable to the analysis of this divine faculty in man. Prejudices of all kinds, whether religious, racial, patriotic, or political, are destructive of divine foundations in man. All the warfare and bloodshed in human history have been the outcome of prejudice. This earth is one home and native land. God has created mankind with equal endowment and right to live upon the earth. As a city is the home of all its inhabitants, although each may have his individual place of residence therein, so the earth's surface is one wide native land or home for all races of humankind. Racial prejudice or separation into nations, such as French, German, American, and so on, is unnatural and proceeds from human motive and ignorance. All are the servants of God. Well, he's saying children, but he doesn't mean it literally. So, if you want to guide the Christians, you can just drop it off instead of confusing them and making them usually think they're like you. Why should we be separated by artificial and imaginary boundaries? In the animal kingdom, the doves flock together in harmony and agreement. They have no prejudices. We are human and superior in intelligence. Is it befitting that lower creatures should manifest virtues which lack expression in man? Baha'u'llah has proclaimed and promulgated the foundation of international peace. For thousands of years, men and nations have gone forth to the battlefield to settle their differences. The cause of this has been ignorance and degeneracy. Praise be to God. In this radiant century, minds have developed. Perceptions have become keener. Eyes are illumined and ears attentive. Therefore, it will be impossible for war to continue. Consider human ignorance and inconsistency. A man who kills another man is punished by execution, but a military genius who kills 100,000 of his fellow creatures is immortalized as a hero. One man steals a small sum of money and is imprisoned as a thief. Another pillages a whole country and is honored as a patriot and conqueror. A single falsehood brings reproach and censure, but the wiles of politicians and diplomats excite the admiration and praise of a nation. Consider the ignorance and inconsistency of mankind. How darkened and savage are the instincts of humanity. Baha'u'llah has announced that no matter how far the world of humanity may advance in material civilization, it is nevertheless in need of spiritual values and the bounties of God. The spirit of man is not illumined and quickened through the material senses, but through the material sources. Well, it depends on what intention and consciousness is these things are put in, right? It is not resuscitated by investigating phenomena of the world of matter. The spirit of man is in need of the protection of the Holy Spirit, just as he advances by progressive stages from the mere physical world of being into the intellectual realm, so must he develop upward in moral attributes and spiritual graces. In the process of attainment, he is ever in need of the bestowals of the Holy Spirit. Now, the Holy Spirit is very specific. Gabriel, Vohomena, whatever one's going to say, but it's only like a prophet. It's not the angels. We're all going to encounter the angels, whether we're aware of it or not. But the light beings, as would be said. But material development may be likened to the glass of a lamp, whereas divine virtues and spiritual susceptibilities are the light within the glass. The lamp chimney is worthless without the light. Likewise, man in his material condition requires the radiance and vivification of the divine graces and merciful attributes. Without the presence of the Holy Spirit, he is lifeless. Although physically and mentally alive, he is spiritually dead, Christ announced. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Meaning that man must be born again. As the babe is born into the light of the physical world, so must the physical and intellectual man be born into the light of the world of divinity. In the matrix of the mother, the unborn child was deprived and unconscious of the world of material existence. But after its birth, it beheld the wonders and beauties of a new realm of life and being. In the world of the matrix, it was utterly ignorant and unable to conceive of these new conditions, but after its transformation, it discovers the radiant sun, trees, flowers, and an infinite range of blessings and bounties awaiting it. In the human plane and kingdom, man is a captive of nature and ignorant of the divine world until born of the breaths of the Holy Spirit out of the physical conditions of limitation and deprivation. Then he beholds the reality of the spiritual realm and kingdom, realizes the narrow restrictions of the mere human world of existence, and becomes conscious of the unlimited and infinite glories of the world of God. Therefore, no matter how man may advance upon the physical and intellectual plane, he is ever in need of the boundless virtues of divinity, the protection of the Holy Spirit, and the face of God. It makes it sound as separate thing, but whichever thing that God would protect with, you think, don't be too caught up on some specific.